to do this again. And if if the jury is influenced by y'all, then I'd have to do it again. And that means y'all would have to do it again. So we don't want to do that. So if you feel, and it's perfectly fine, if you feel something coming on, it's just better just get up and leave and then come back. But I do appreciate you being here. Like I said, I think that's a wonderful testament to your sister or whatever relationship. So y'all can do that for me? Okay. And they say you've got some other family members too that may be witnesses. If you wouldn't mind sharing this discussion with them, that we talked about that'd be great.
And Your Honor, please, just for the record, we've had extensive conversations with everyone about when particular images will be shown and warning ahead of time on that, and warned everyone against outbursts. That it is much less distracting to step out of the room than it is to have anything go on.
And I'll try to tell them before we can work together on that. All of us can work when we get ready to show these pictures. We can give them notification that way they get out. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. We'll bring our jury in. Everybody rise, please. Thank you. Have a seat. And who'll be the state's first witness?
Your Honor, please, the state will call Matt Johnston, keeper of 911 records.
All right. Someone, can we get him? He here?
Yes, he's here. He's in a room outside the courtroom.
Okay. Is this him? Where are we?
They said he's coming to that door, but I don't know why.
Okay. So they tell me y'all are going to Hoskins or wherever across the street for lunch. It's excellent if you haven't been there. They have really good milkshakes. I recommend those. And they have my wife would like, they have a Hoskins salad. That's really pretty good too. So I'm not telling you what to get, where you're going to, but I think you'll enjoy it. Sir, if you'll step up here next to me, please. If you'll raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you. If you have a seat. If you'll tell me your first name and last name and spell them both, and if you'll speak into that microphone so everybody can hear, all right? Go ahead, sir.
Matthew Johnston, M-A-T-T-H-E-W, J-O-H-N-S-T-O-N.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Questions?
Could you tell us What agency you work for and how long you've worked there?
The Oak Ridge Police Department, just over 14 years.
And what are your responsibilities with the Oak Ridge Police Department?
I'm a police sergeant at the city of Oak Ridge. My daily responsibility is supervisor of emergency communication center.
And for jury purposes, layman terms, what does the communication center include?
The 911 center.
Okay. And so as part of your responsibilities currently, you are supervising the 911 center?
Correct.
As part of that, does that include record keeping?
Yes.
Could you just describe for us the record keeping process for 911?
As it relates, and I'm not a technology person, but we have the 911 recordings themselves. They record in the phone system, and we also have a redundant recorder. And then as we take information and input it into our CAD and records management system, that is stored electronically within the servers.
And is that CAD, computer assisted dispatch?
Yeah, computer aided dispatch.
And are these records kept and recorded as part of the normal course of business?
They are.
As a supervisor, have you reviewed a recording from August 5th, 2019 that is attached to this case?
I did.
If I play a small snippet of that, would you be able to identify that that is the recording you've listened to?
I should.
Get the TV on, please.
Where's your emergency?
We're at 302 Florida Avenue.
Do you recognize that?
I do.
Is that the recording that you listened to
It is.
in identifying this? Did you make any deletions or additions to the recording?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Your Honor, please state request permission to play the recording at this point in its entirety.
Okay, go ahead.
I took my neighbor's girlfriend to go to a shelter. We're at 302 Florida Avenue. My wife took my neighbor's girlfriend to go to a shelter, and they told me to call the police and let you guys know that he has a dead body in his freezer in the upstairs.
So you're at 302. What neighbor are you talking about?
The one directly behind me.
Hang on a minute. Look at the map. Directly behind you on Florida?
Yeah, I'm on Florida. It'd be East Fairview Road, I think.
So 320 or 322?
I have no idea what his address is. His name's Sean Finnegan.
Sagan?
That's Sean Finnegan, I think.
Finnegan, okay. Hang on just a second.
That's what they told me. She's been trying to leave, and he's beat on her and everything else. Well, my wife got a hold of some help shelter. They're up in Claiborne County right now getting her settled there.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. So your wife has taken your neighbor to a shelter,
Yeah.
and your neighbor,
The guy she was with.
Sean Finnegan, how did they have a body in the freezer?
Because I guess Becca she lives with him. It's a one-sided
Alright, so what is what's the girl's name? Rebecca, you said?
Yeah.
That's the girlfriend?
Yeah. Exactly. So
Telling your wife?
yes, they're up at a police station in Claiborne County on Jefferson Street or something
Okay.
right now.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
Colt. Man, I told her not to get involved. That had nothing to fucking do with this shit.
And what's your last name, Cole? what's a good phone number for you, Colt?
865-387-1053.
All right, I will take down the information.
Oh, he's back there done already telling me that we shouldn't have gotten fucking balls. He'll make my life miserable. Something about shooting me, da-da-da-da-da.
So is he
I
making,
ain't worried about his punk ass.
is he making threats towards you?
He has been since he came home, because he come home, knocked on my door, and asked why my buddy took his girlfriend, which he didn't. He loaned his car to my wife, so she could take her. She's been trying to leave for a month now, and finally got everything in order for her to be able to have a place to go and everything.
Okay, all right, I'll get officers in around.
So I don't want no more fucking blowback on me on this.
All right, I'll get officers around, they can straighten it out.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to search for a body?
That's on them, I don't know what they can and can't do when they get there.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thanks, Colt.
Your Honor, please, the state would move this into evidence, state's first exhibit.
All right, now what exhibit number would that be?
651.
What exhibit number
For
was it?
today, it's number 1.
Okay, number 1 it is. Thank you.
As part of the 911 record keeping, we discussed the CAD, the computer aided dispatch. Do they do a report that gives the information of who was dispatching and timestamp?
We don't call it a report, we just call it a CAD sheet. It's got the pertinent information of what the public safety dispatcher at the time entered into that call.
May I approach?
Sure.
Please review that. Do you recognize that as the call detail
Yeah.
from this event?
Yes.
Please, I'd move this into evidence of state's exhibit number 2.
Okay, that'll be exhibit number 2.
May I publish it for the jury?
No, we'll pass them around later on.
I pass this witness, Judge.
Any other questions?
If she passes.
Sure.
No, Judge, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thanks, sir. You can step down, free stand, corporal, free to go.
Thanks, sir.
Who's next?
We call Gail Payne, Gail Cordy Payne.
And who's going to get Ms. Payne for us? Huh? Who's getting her? Oh. Is this Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Hey, ma'am, if you'll step here next to me, please. Step here next to me. If you'll raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you'll have a seat right there. If you'll tell me your first name and last name, spell them, And then I need you to speak up in the microphone, okay? Go ahead.
Beverly, Beverly, Payne, Payne.
Thank you, Ms. Payne. Questions?
And ma'am, you live here in Knoxville, you live in Knoxville,
Yes.
Knox County?
Yes, sir.
And obviously you are related to an individual that's brought you here today, right?
Yes.
And that's a woman named Jennifer Paxton.
Yes.
And tell the jury, if you would, how it is that you are related to Jennifer Paxton.
I am Jennifer Paxton's aunt.
Okay, and your sister was her mother.
Yes.
And what was her mother's name?
Patricia Dinwiddie.
Okay, and was Ms. Dinwiddie alive when Jennifer died?
Yes.
Is she alive now?
No.
So your sister and your niece are deceased?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us, for the jury, your sister's, she had multiple children?
Yes.
Okay, and Jennifer was one of her children?
Yes.
Do you know what year Jennifer was born?
84?
Okay, so she was about 36 years old when she died?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that Jennifer was raised in Knoxville?
Yes.
Carnes High School, as a matter of fact?
Yes.
Okay. But in the last several years, let's say let me back up a little bit before that. Jennifer had several children,
Yes.
7 as a matter of fact,
Yes, sir.
but Jennifer struggled with some problems, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell the members of the jury what it is that Jennifer struggled with.
Jennifer struggled with drugs and drinking.
Okay. And when did that begin in her life?
After she lost her children.
Okay. And so at some point in her life as a mother, she lost all 7 of her children
Yes.
to the Department of Children's Services
Yes.
through her addiction?
Yes.
Okay. But you said that she really turned to those after the kids were removed. About what year was that?
I don't recall.
What are the age range of her children?
Then or now?
Then, when she died?
I don't recall.
Okay. How old is Elena?
Alana.
Alana?
Would be about 12 years old.
Okay. And Skylar, the oldest? How old's Skylar?
Skylar would be 21, or
Okay.
just turned 21.
So is that the age range of her children
Yes.
that she lost? Okay. Tell us what was in the time frame when she died. Of course, we're talking about right before COVID hit, right back in 2019. And we turn your attention to that about her life. You'd already told the jury she had some addiction problems.
Yes.
What was she doing, or how was she living or caring for herself back in 2019, let's say before COVID hit?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Your relationship with her had turned south sometime before that, meaning your contact with her had ceased at some point in the years
Yes.
prior to that. Tell the members of the jury why.
I did not agree with Jennifer using drugs.
Okay. And what else was she doing to fuel or to pay for her drug habit?
I don't know for sure how she.
Okay. But you would be at times relieved to know things about Jennifer with regard to her drug habit that you've told us from the state, right? When
Yes.
was it that you'd be relieved to explain that to the jury?
I don't understand. Can you repeat that?
You told us,
Object to leading, I'll let it go for a while. Thank you.
with regard to Jennifer's freedom, was she always out in public?
Yes.
Okay. And where was she living when she was out in public?
On the streets.
Okay. And where in particular would, do you know what areas of town she would live in?
From Merchants Road, North Knoxville, to South Knoxville.
Okay. And were those generally two types of areas she would stay at?
Yes,
Do you know if she got in trouble with the police from time to time?
yes.
Okay. And how would that make you feel when that happened?
I'd be okay if she was in jail.
To explain that to the jury, why?
We knew that she was safe and off the streets if she was in jail.
And is that the stance that your family took?
Yes.
Who do you live with right
Who-
now? Who do you live with right now?
My son, my grandchildren, my mom, and my husband.
And how old is your mother?
77.
And she goes by Mill?
Yeah.
Is that what Jennifer called her?
No.
Okay. What did Jennifer call her?
Mom.
Okay. Because she raised Jennifer?
Yes.
Jennifer did Jennifer know her father?
Yes.
Okay. She knew who he was?
Yes.
Did she have a relationship with him?
No.
Matter of fact, he's in prison.
Yes.
And with regard to Jennifer's habits, did she often appear at a certain particular time that you were aware of? Back in 2019, did she have some particular custom or habit of appearance at your place?
Yes.
Explain that to the jury if you would.
Jennifer would always come to my house and get money from Mom
Okay.
on
When
the
would,
3rd of every month.
why would that particular habit, what was happening that caused her to do that on the 3rd of every month?
Because that's when Mom would get her Social Security.
And why would your mom give Jennifer money if she's using it for drugs?
I don't know that my mom knew that she was doing any drugs.
Okay, but Jennifer would appear and get money at least from your mother on that regular basis
Yes.
every month.
Yes.
And did there come a time when she stopped appearing, getting money from your mother?
Yes.
And when was the last time that you're aware of that she came and got money from your mother on the 3rd
December
of what year?
2019.
Okay. And so, moving into COVID, of course, COVID in 2020, did you ever see Jennifer after the times when she would come and get money from your mother?
No.
You said that Jennifer did have criminal problems. Would she be arrested from time to time? You'd be relieved in a sense. Do you know what she was being arrested for, the types of offenses, what she was doing?
No.
Did she ever work a job that you're aware of?
Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cleaned houses?
Yes.
May I approach her?
Sure. Okay, thank you.
What exhibit number are we on, Judge?
This be 3.
This will be number 3. Ms. Payne, what I'm going to hand you first is, I'm going to mark Exhibit 3 and hand you that, what's been marked for identification, Exhibit 3, and ask you, do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
Jennifer Paxton.
Is that contemporaneous or around the last times that you saw her in
Yes.
December of 2019?
Yes.
And that is, we'd move that in as exhibit number 3, live photo, Jennifer Paxton, and asked to publish, let her hold it up.
Okay. Go ahead and pass that to the jury. We'll pass it through there. Deputy, if you'll take it up when they finish looking at it.
What I'm handing you now is being marked as exhibit number 4, and that is, if you could take a look at that, tell us exhibit number 4, What is that?
It's a map,
Okay, and what general area is that of?
North Knoxville.
The area that you were referring to about where Jennifer lived? Is that
Yes.
fair to say? And the red marker on that, do you recognize the location of the red marker on that?
Yes,
And what is the red marker in the middle of that map?
the Pint House.
And what do you know the Pint House to be?
A bar.
Okay. And do you believe that you saw Jennifer at some point in 2019, the last that you saw her in that area sometime in 2019?
Yes,
Is that in late 2019?
yes.
Tell the members of the jury the circumstances of how you saw her and where you saw her.
I saw her coming or walking across the parking lot of Austin Steakhouse. I was coming out of the restaurant from eating, and when I saw her last.
Okay, if you could just mark an X in the location where you last saw Jennifer. Was she in a car, on foot, or describe that if you could.
Your Honor, you mind if I approach to see what? Sure.
Okay, and put an X wherever it is you're
Okay.
saying. Okay, and there's a black X. It's a small X. I'm gonna put a big X.
Okay.
It is hard to see. And that's basically in the roadway right near the Pint House.
Yes,
Did she look the same to you as she had in the past, or?
no, she looked thinner.
Okay. And with regard to that, was Jennifer welcome in your house?
Yes,
Okay. For what purpose?
to visit Mom.
Okay. Would Jennifer ask money from you?
No,
How come?
because she knew I wouldn't give it to her.
Okay. Based on the history that you've already described?
Yes,
Okay. We'd move that in as exhibit number 4.
Okay. And if you could pass that through, please, that'd be good.
Were you aware that other family members were in contact with Jennifer?
yes.
How would people actually communicate with her if you told the jury she was on the streets?
Yes,
When you mean on the streets, you mean homeless,
yes,
living outside?
yes.
Okay, and how does a person that's living outside, how would she communicate with family, other than arriving at your house to get money from her mom, your mother?
Just arriving at our homes.
Okay. In terms of her ability to communicate over phones or things like that, did she ever have that kind of thing that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of.
And what other family members would be, when you said where she'd go personally, you said book 2 sides of town, the south side and merchant side. Who was it that lived on the south side?
Beverly Jeffers.
Okay, and who lived near merchants?
I got that backwards.
Okay, yes. Who lived on the south side?
Me,
That's you. You live on the south side with your mother, right?
yes,
Near Chapman Highway, Walgreens?
yes,
And is that where she would live, near the Walgreens?
yes.
Okay. And who would live over in the merchants area that she would have a place to go to if she was over in merchants, if she needed to?
Beverly Jeffers.
Okay. Is Beverly Jeffers here?
Yes,
She's seated here in the courtroom?
yes,
Okay. And with regard to that, would she be assisted in things like laundry and things of that nature if she needed it?
yes.
Were you aware, or did you ever become aware whether or not she was selling herself to fuel her drug habit?
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. Were you made aware of that?
Yes,
Okay. So you know that now.
yes.
And just to be clear, the last you saw your niece alive, it was within sight of the Pint House?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware of when your sister, your deceased sister, were you aware of when she made a report to the Knoxville Police Department reporting her daughter, your niece,
Objection,
missing?
hearsay.
If she's aware of, if she's aware of when the report happened, or if the report happened?
And so you're saying it's not being introduced for the truth of the matter?
If she was, have personal knowledge.
I withdraw the objection.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you have any personal knowledge of when your sister would have reported to the Knoxville Police Department that your niece was missing, Jennifer Paxton?
Yes.
Were you present when that
No.
happened? Okay.
Good morning. So at that time, I'm sorry, I know this is difficult. When you saw her, when's the last time you communicated with Jennifer before seeing her in that parking lot?
It, 6 months before.
Okay, so there would be long periods of time
Yeah.
between her coming to your house?
No.
No? It was every third, every month?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said the last time that you saw her at the house was in December of 2019, so that would be December 3rd that she would have been there? I think he asked, well, I may be misspeaking, I apologize, but I feel like that I heard him ask you when's the last time she was there to get money, and I think you said it was December 2019.
Yes.
Okay, and so that would be the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay, so December 3rd, 2019. Okay. And was she, did you all ever offer her a place to stay? Was she welcome to stay at your house if she wanted to?
No,
Okay, why is that?
because she was on drugs.
Right, okay. And what would be the fear of her being on drugs at the house? What would cause you fear for that?
I had small children
Okay.
at the house.
Okay, and it wouldn't be a good influence at that point.
Right.
That's understandable. And then you said that is it your sister that's Beverly Jeffers?
No, she's my cousin.
Your cousin, okay. But she lived close to Merchants.
Yes.
Do you know if she saw Jennifer more often or less often?
I'm not aware.
Okay. Do you know if she had a close relationship with Jennifer?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if she offered Jennifer a place to stay if she wanted to?
Yes.
And she would have offered, so Jennifer could have stayed there if she wanted to?
Yes.
Okay. So that would mean that she chose not to stay there, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all, Judge.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, you're not.
No?
We call it, no.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. You're free to stay in the courtroom. We're free to go. Thank you.
We call written opinion. Take it in. Apologize to the court, we're gonna get the kinks worked out here.
We'll be fine. I'll step up for just for a minute. If you'll raise your right hand, please, ma'am. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. So I need you to tell me your first and last name, spell them both. I need you to speak up in that microphone right there in front. Okay?
Brittany Payne, BrittanYPayne.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions?
And Ms. Payne, who's your mother?
Beverly Payne.
Is that the woman who just came in and testified before you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you have a first cousin named Jennifer Paxton,
Yes, sir.
or had?
Yes.
And your relationship with Jennifer Paxton, if you just tell the jury briefly what your relationship was like growing up.
It was very interesting. It was fun. She was always whatever. She just made people laugh. Do whatever she could to make people happy.
But as far as your relationship with her personally, was it like cousins or was it
More like sisters.
Okay.
We pretty much grew up together. My grandmother pretty much raised her, which is why she called her mama. So.
And you both grew up here in Knoxville.
Yes.
And she was good friends with you.
Yes.
And did that remain constant throughout her life?
Yes.
Did things happen in her life though that caused her to go in terms of her relationship with you, strain that relationship?
No, we had a pretty decent relationship.
Okay. But there are things that happened in her life that caused her to lose her children.
Yes.
Did she change direction at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
I was still there for her at the time.
I understand that, but as far as what she was getting into, what was she doing after she lost her children?
She went down a wrong path in life, and she started using heroin. I guess she just wasn't there in her head anymore.
Okay. So her drug of choice was?
Heroin.
And what would she do to get heroin?
She would usually bum money off of our grandmother, or she would get money off me. She would also prostitute to get money.
Okay. And where was she living, if you know, in 2019?
In 2000, she was a little bit of here and there. She was homeless at the time. She was living in a tent in the woods.
Okay. Where were her homeless camps that she'd stay at?
Well, the only ones that I know of where I have met her at several times was off of Merchants, and then the Walgreens on Chapman Highway between Chapman and Moody, on the corner of Chapman and Moody, right
Okay.
there.
There's a Walgreens and there's woods behind there?
Yes, the woods behind there, it's a homeless camp pretty much, and if you're not homeless, you can't go there.
Okay, but you would in fact go to homeless camps to meet her?
I would meet her outside of a homeless camp.
Okay.
She would never allow me to get out of the car I would hand her the money through the window.
Okay. In terms of handing her money, how would you arrange that if she needed money? How did you communicate with her?
Through Facebook.
Okay. And so how would she, if she's homeless, have Facebook?
There's plenty of places that you can free Wi-Fi, as
Okay.
in McDonald's and stuff like that.
Just using devices that are connected to Wi-Fi, that you
Yes.
can go to McDonald's there on Chapman, or any business on Chapman pretty much to
Yes.
get Wi-Fi? And she would request money from you?
Yes, or
Which is-
food.
Would she request food?
Yes.
Okay, and what would happen when you bring her food instead of money?
She'd be thankful, but she would ask if I had a couple dollars to loan her.
Okay. And how often did you communicate with her in the late of 2019?
The last time I spoke to her was before Thanksgiving, and she had asked me for like $20 to get her something to eat for her and her boyfriend. And I had met her at the Walgreens on Chapman Highway, and I gave her the $20, and that was the last time that I had seen her.
Okay. And were you part of the effort to report her missing sometime
No,
later?
but I was the first person in our family to post on Facebook looking for her.
Okay. And do you recall when you posted that?
Maybe right around Christmas.
Okay. And because you hadn't heard from her in a while?
Correct. And we had searched, we got online, we searched police stations, hospitals. We was told that she was in a rehabilitation somewhere in Nashville, which I assume either she did go or it was a lie. I don't know.
That's Facebook stuff?
Yeah.
People saying stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. But you know she wasn't in Nashville, right?
No.
You now know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was a man that had contacted me, and he was telling me that she was,
Okay.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
regard to your personal knowledge, did she have places where she could go to on Merchants?
Oh, yes.
Okay. With regard to people that would take her in and give her a warm shower and let her do laundry, things like that?
Anytime she needed it.
Okay. And you as well?
Yes.
Then why was she living in the woods?
She didn't want help.
You refer to that as what? Homeless?
I say, I don't know, really. I just assume the drugs.
She preferred to be in the woods?
Yeah, she preferred it that way. Like, I've tried to get her to stay with me. I know family has tried to get her to stay with them. She just didn't want it.
Because of her addiction?
Yes, I would assume.
And you think in 2019, was that pretty much running everything she did?
Yeah.
Pass
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
When you would meet her at the homeless camps, are those crowded places? How many people are at those homeless camps?
Sometimes, but usually during the day when I would go meet her, that's when they're out and about doing things.
Okay, so you would go during the day, it's probably
Yes,
smart, right?
I got children. I'm not doing nothing crazy.
So when, the last occasion, I think you mentioned that you took her $20 so she could get food for herself and her boyfriend. Do you know who the boyfriend was?
Sid.
Sid? Okay.
I believe he's passed away now.
Okay. Did you ever meet him?
Well, I met him from a distance, not like introducing type of,
Gotcha.
you know.
Okay. And you were aware that she was prostituting?
Yes.
Okay.
She'd been doing it
So how long had she been doing that?
off and on for years.
Okay. Okay. And so there had been a drug issue for years, too.
Yeah.
Right. And I assume that was probably part of the reason why she lost her children.
I'm not entirely sure on that.
Okay. But she would communicate through Facebook. Did she have a phone that you knew of?
I don't know if it was her phone or if she was using a phone.
Okay.
I just know that anytime she needed it, she would contact me through Facebook, and it'd be on her profile.
Right.
But, you know, you can log into anybody's phone, so.
Right, you just don't know about the device.
Right.
but she
I don't
had
know
a
if it
phone.
was hers or someone else's.
But it was like a Facebook message, like a message, like instant
Yeah,
messenger? kind of
basic
thing?
message, yeah.
Okay. And if you messaged her through Facebook instant message, she would receive those messages?
Yes.
Okay, so she had clear access to a device of some sort, right?
Last time I seen her, yeah.
Right, okay. And I think that you said that she was welcome to stay with you anytime she wanted, right? I mean, y'all were
Yeah.
close, and
Anybody in our family would have took her in.
right. But she chose not to,
Yeah.
and she chose to be homeless, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
You go, Rex. Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Free Senator Coleman, free to go. Who's next?
Here, please take calls, Phyllis Tonkin.
Maybe go this way. somebody gonna get her, or?
She's bringing her.
Okay.
Judge, can we approach just briefly?
Please. Right up here. You raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. If you have a seat, if you'll tell me your first and last name, spell them both, and then if you'll speak up in that microphone, they'll help everybody hear.
Okay. My name is Phyllis Tonkin, Phyllis Tonkin.
Officer Tonkin, what's your current occupation?
Police officer.
And how long have you been a police officer?
Just a little over 22 and a half years.
What current agency are you with?
Knoxville Police Department.
So that's the next county over Knox County, right? Not here in Anderson?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your current assignment with KPD?
Currently working in the Office of Professional Standards.
How long have you been doing that?
Just a little over a year.
What were you doing in 2019? Do you recall?
I worked for Knoxville Police Department. I was in their Special Crimes Unit.
As part of Special Crimes Unit, did you investigate missing persons?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all you did with Special
No.
Crimes? Could you just give a brief description of what that means?
We also would investigate domestic violence, elder abuse, human trafficking, missing persons, and child abuse.
Was it in your work with Special Crimes and Missing Persons that you got called in to assist on an Anderson County case with Oak Ridge Police Department?
I did.
Could you tell us about how that came about, please?
Actually, a friend of mine received a call and asked if I was available, and that friend handed the phone over, and it was, I believe, I don't know if he was an investigator or an officer, Marvell with Oak Ridge, and had indicated they may have found a missing person that I had been investigating.
As part of that, did you get information about some descriptors of the missing person?
Yes, some tattoos, I believe, is what it was.
Okay. As part of your investigation, skip ahead a little bit, do you take in the missing persons reports from individuals?
It goes through a process, but it ends up with me.
Okay. As part of that process and ending up with you, did you get information about a Jennifer Paxton being reported missing?
Yes.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe that was on February the 2nd of 2020 is when the report came in.
So when you get a report, can you tell us what process you go through in just investigating a sort of missing persons report?
Sure. One of the first things I would do is I would contact the individual that is the complainant, and at that point I contacted Miss Dinwiddie, who is the mother of Jennifer Paxton. She had indicated that she was...
May we approach?
Can I have your recorder?
Continue. Oh, sorry. We try to be efficient, make up for the time that it takes to go in between witnesses. I can't make up for that.
Thank you. Now, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, if you could continue,
Okay.
please.
So I would have made contact with Miss Dinwiddie, who indicated that her daughter had been missing since she had last seen her November the 4th of 2019. At that point in time, I would go through different databases that we had access to at the police department to determine if anybody else had seen Miss Paxton or had any contact with Miss Paxton from the time in which she was last seen by her mother until the time in which we received the report.
And in going through that history, did you find that she had had any contact with the Knoxville Police Department in that period of time?
Initially, she had contact with, on November the 27th of 2019, there was an outstanding warrant where she was out at Knox County intake. She was released on December the 3rd of 2019. And then the Knoxville Police Department had contact with her on December 23rd of 2019 by an officer, Medina, who had answered a call for service at 5517 Wallwood Road, where there was an individual that was dancing around in circles and appeared to be on some type of, or under the influence of something per the complainant.
All right, if I could back up for just a little bit, that November intake date, are you aware of what that was for?
It was an outstanding warrant, that's all I recall.
Okay. And going through to December 23rd, you said the contact with Medina?
Medina.
Do you recall where that location was?
5517 Wallwood Road, I believe is the address.
May I approach, please? Going to withdraw what's been previously marked as exhibit number 4.
Yes, ma'am. Can you do that? Thank you. Can you just stand up and see what you're drawing?
I think you're just showing where Wallwood Road is?
Yes.
I know where it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you recognize the area that's reflected on this map?
Yes.
Do you see where the Pint House is with a red marked dot?
Yes.
And do you see where Wallwood Road is in relation to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you mark with your initials where Wallwood Road is on this? And you've circled those initials?
Yes.
As well?
It's kind of hard to see.
Let me grab a darker pen for you. Try that, yes, do that with a Sharpie, please. Actually, let's do this with red, so there's previous mark with the black.
Okay. I'll just mark over my initials if that's okay.
This has previously been omitted to show the jury, but since you've all looked at it, proceed.
Thank you.
Once you gather all this information, what do you do next?
As far as an investigation,
As far as an investigation and any steps you take to try to locate an individual?
normally we would try and see if they have any type of phones where we might be able to track where if there was any last phone calls made, things of that nature. But there was very little information to go off of other than the time that she was incarcerated until the time that Officer Medina had made contact with her.
So this isn't anything where you had like pings on a phone to
No, we
find
did not.
somebody anyplace. Do you create a missing persons flyer?
Yes.
What kind of information is included on those?
The information on that would indicate the date and the time that the complaint came in, the date and time that the individual was last seen, It would also indicate usually a photograph of the person and some information such as her height, her date of birth, her weight, eye color, things of that nature.
May I approach?
Okay.
Do you recognize that form?
Yes.
Can you tell us what it is, please?
Yes, this is a missing person flyer that would have been created for Ms. Paxton.
And who should they contact in the event that she is identified or located?
They would contact myself.
And this accurately reflects your report.
Yes.
I move this in as State's Exhibit number 5.
Okay, that'd be exhibit number 5. And officer, if you'll pass this to the jury, please. Thank you.
Judge, I've actually got that one queued up if you want me
Is that what?
to publish it on the screen.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay, take it back then. They're gonna put it up there on the television screen for us. They're gonna put it up there on the screen for us. Thank you. And by doing that, we don't have to pass it around to you. That's the reason I suggested that to them. So, General, thanks for doing that.
Now I'll back up a little bit. You said you had received a call from somebody you believe was named Marbell, who was investigating a case in Oak Ridge, correct?
Correct.
And when given the information, did you then assist in helping identify the person that they had found?
Yes, I went to the scene and was there prior to the search warrant and things of that nature.
And is it your belief that the individual who was found was Jennifer Paxton?
Yes.
Pass this witness, Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good. You can take it down, please. Thank you. Investigator Tonkin, we know each other, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Can you tell the jury how we know each other?
When you were in Knox County, we actually had trials together on child abuse cases.
Yep. On the same side then?
On the same side.
Right. So I just got a few questions for you, and it really has to do with the way these things work and the investigations. And so when you first got a report, it's from her mother,
Yes, sir.
correct? Jennifer's mother.
Yes.
And Jennifer's mother says that she'd been missing since November 4th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you found that she had been arrested released December 3rd, 2019. So we know that she was in jail during some of that part of the time, right?
Yes, sir.
And then did you talk with her aunt or cousin? There was some testimony earlier that she came by her grandmother's house on December 3rd. Did you ever get that information?
I don't recall that information.
Okay. If she had gone by her grandmother's house on December 3rd and to get money or whatever, then that would indicate that possibly her mother had not spoken to her grandmother or aunt, because she would know that she had been seen December 3rd,
Correct.
right? Okay. And then y'all looked for phones and Facebooks. Did you look for Facebook at all for her?
I believe I did. It's been quite a while since.
Yes, it has.
Since this missing person came in.
But you didn't find that she had a device. You didn't find a phone or anything,
No, sir.
correct? As far as an account,
No.
right? Because that's really all you can search.
Correct.
But if she had a device, you wouldn't know. If she had a personal device on her, there's no way to know that, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then, did you speak with her cousin about Facebook communications at all?
To be honest with you, I don't really recall that.
Okay. Okay. And so we don't know when the last Facebook communication might have been. And okay. Okay. And it was February 2nd when the mother actually reported her missing,
Of
right? So that'd be
2020.
like 3 months after she last saw her. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Sure.
Investigator Tonkin, is this the first trial we've done together?
No,
Is this the first trial you've done with General Allen?
no.
In what capacity have we done
We,
cases?
when you both were in Knox County, we were all both on the same side.
What kind of cases was that?
Child abuse cases.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You step down, you're free to stay in the courtroom, free to go. Who's next?
May we approach?
I got it. I understand. So go ahead and go to lunch now.
That was going to be the inquiry, yes.
Sure. So ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now is we're going to break for lunch. We'll start back promptly at 1 o'clock. Remember my instructions to you not to discuss the case between yourselves or anything like that. You can leave your notebook sitting there, and then we'll start back promptly at 1. Is that okay? Everybody good? Okay, everybody rise. Hope you all have a great lunch. Thanks for your efforts this morning. Good job. Counsel, anything I can do for you before we break for lunch? We good? We good?
Good, Judge.
1 o'clock.
Thank you,
Thank you
Judge.
very much.
Thank you.
wanted to get y'all's advice about how y'all want to handle the 404B issue that we talked about because I don't want to hamstring y'all and not ruling on it before you finish your direct, but I'll do whatever y'all want to do. So what do you think?
If we could, Your Honor, let's just take it up now so everybody knows what to be
Taking it up now?
anticipating. Yes.
Well, do y'all have your witnesses now because you got to put on proof of the statement?
Yes, well, we're,
Not you, them.
What's that?
On 404B,
Uh-huh.
you've got to put on proof of clear and convincing evidence that the conversations you allege took place,
Okay.
right?
Right, and so my position was that I don't really know the argument on whether it's applicable until they do their direct, honestly, to some degree. So the argument might change,
Right.
whether it's even applicable or not. So
Right.
my feeling is I don't even know how to make the argument until I hear what she says on the stand.
Well, I guess the problem is I don't want to prevent them from asking about it in the event.
I see.
I want them to know that
Well,
we're
we
going to do it.
we could put her on the stand and I can ask her those questions.
And so that, she would be your only witness then. You don't have like the officer there or the other people there.
No, I mean, if we're talking about a prior act that she's either going to agree to or not. And if she, I might have some additional proof, but if she agrees to it, it won't.
But if she says no, then under 404B, that's not clear and convincing, so I can't allow you to introduce it.
Right.
At that, through her.
Right.
Through her testimony.
Through her, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. I know it's really strange. I've just never dealt with it on the defense side, so I'm having to.
Right. Most time I've dealt with it on the state
It's-
side, so yeah.
It's reversed.
I'll do what you want, like I said. Or if you want to, we can go ahead and do the direct, and then they can tell me, I've got a few more questions, that'll be French for stop, and then you can tell me what you want to do with the 404B, and then I'll stop, and then we'll decide then. And then that way they can still have the door open in the event they want to ask some questions based upon my ruling.
That's fine too, Judge.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm fine with playing it by ear because I really am a little bit lost right now
Okay.
until I hear what she says.
So what we'll do is, you go ahead and call Ms. Dishman, ask whatever question you want to. When you get near the end, just say you've got a few more questions. I'll know that means to stop, that we're going to do the 404B hearing. And then you can say, I want to do it or don't. You decline, and then we'll go from there.
That sounds
Is
fair.
that satisfactory?
Yes, sir.
yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. All right. Go get our jury for me, please.
All rise, please.
Take you have a seat. Looks like all our jurors have returned. I need to tell you, I got chastised by several people for naming the restaurant y'all were going to, so I will not do that again. And then I also heard that I made a mistake that they didn't have milkshakes today, so that's my bad too. So hopefully that will be remedied one day in the future. But from now on, I will not be saying where y'all are going to eat under any circumstance. So, y'all ready to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
State calls Rebecca Dishman.
And where, is she here or here?
She's coming this way.
Okay, great. And while she's coming in, ladies and gentlemen, anytime anybody has any problem hearing, or remember I told you about a break or anything, just raise your hand. If you have a hearing problem, just point to your ear and I'll know, because I have kind of a hearing issue too. So I want to make sure everybody hears everything. Ma'am, if you'll step up here next to me, please. All the way around here, please. If you'll raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you have a seat. When you sit down there, if you'll just say your first and last name and spell them both. And it's really important that you speak loudly into that microphone there, so everybody can hear you. Can you do that for me?
Rebecca Dishman.
Okay. Probably needs to be a little bit louder than that. Okay. So go tell me your first name and last name and spell them both.
Rebecca Dishman. REBECCADISHMEN.
Very good. And like I said, if you can keep speaking up, that will help. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Rebecca, are you a little nervous today?
Yes.
Are you excited to testify?
Yes, I've waited for this moment for 4 years.
But still feeling a little nervous, a little adrenaline.
Yes.
I talked to you before. If you need me to repeat a question, if you need anyone to repeat a question, don't hesitate to ask, okay? Can you tell us when you were born?
April 30th, 1998.
So how old are you today?
I'm 26.
Can you tell me about where you grew up?
I grew up in Maryville, Tennessee.
Who did you live with growing up?
I grew up with my parents.
And are they still with us?
No, they passed away when I was 18.
Do you remember what year that was?
2016.
So is that also about the year you finished high school?
I was a senior. I was in the process of graduating.
So who did you live with when your parents passed?
I lived with my fiance at the time.
How long did you stay there?
A couple years.
Did you ever get married to him?
No.
So what happened that you no longer lived there after 2 years?
My aunt and uncle, Bobby Brown and Carol Brown, took me in.
And when was that?
I don't recall.
Okay. But do you recall how long you lived there with, you said Bobby Brown and Carol Brown?
Maybe a year, not for sure.
So you stayed with them for about a year. Did you leave voluntarily?
They kind of just washed their hands of me. They got tired of me.
Do you know why that was?
'Cause I was with another fiance and had decided to move in with him, and they weren't happy.
How many fiancés have you had?
I've been engaged 5 times, but I've lived with the 3 of them.
Okay. So when you left Bobby and Carol Brown, you said you went and moved with another fiance, and they washed their hands of you.
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I believe it was a year or so.
And how did that turn out? Did you marry that person?
No.
Did you stay living with them?
No, they moved.
Okay. So where did you go from there?
I ended up staying with my best friend, Tabitha Sparks, and she ended up kicking me out as well.
So where to from there?
I moved back in with Crystal Mays, which is the mother of Austin, my first fiance.
And did you stay living there for a while?
Yes, until they kicked me back out.
Okay. So what was the next place?
Rick and Jenny Fry. I've known them since I was...
Could you say that again and speak up? I think the court reporter was having trouble hearing
Rick and
you.
Jenny Fry.
One more time.
Sorry. Rick and Jenny Fry.
Okay, thank you. And did you stay there for a significant amount of time?
Yes.
When did you leave that location?
I believe it was August, September of 2019.
And what happened that made you leave there?
I had met Sean on Facebook and decided to move in with him 2 weeks after meeting him. He
Okay.
convinced me.
What was that last part?
He convinced me to move in with him.
Okay. So you say you met him on Facebook
Mhm.
and moved in with him about 2 weeks later. Am I hearing that correctly? Again, sorry, it is.
Yes.
Make sure you speak into the mic. Could you tell us about that interaction, about meeting him on Facebook and what happened in that 2-week period?
Our relationship was kind of fast, and within the 2 weeks I decided to move in because the people that I was staying with, I felt like I was scared that they would end up kicking me out, and I was hoping that things would work out better.
So how did you feel about trying to move in with Sean?
At the beginning I felt, comfort and safe.
Okay. Now you said that he had convinced you to move in. Could you tell us about that, please?
Like, the first text that I recall is he was telling me that he wanted me to move in with him, that he wanted me to live with him and be his girl.
And did you like that idea?
Yes.
So after about 2 weeks, how did you get to his place to move in?
I had basically told Rick and Jenny that I was leaving. I packed my stuff, and he came to get me, and I moved in with him.
So what were things like when you moved in?
The first couple weeks were okay, and I went to go take a shower, and that was our first argument. He pushed me, and I ended up cutting my leg pretty bad, and that led to my first punishment.
Okay. Now, when you met him on Facebook, and of course when he came, was it he who came and picked you up?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know how old he was?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation about how old he was?
He had told me that he was in his 40s at the time.
Okay. Did you know anything about his background or what he did for a living?
Not really. I just knew that he worked at the bar,
Okay. Did you know what bar it was he worked at?
the Pint House in Knoxville.
Okay. And when did he usually work?
Like mornings, I think, like anywhere from 5 to 5 the next day.
So when you say mornings, like he would come home in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
So 5 to 5 the next day would be like 5 p.m.
To 5
and then
a.m.
5 a.m. Okay. Now, who else lived at that house with you?
His mother at the time.
Did you notice anything about her physical condition or shape?
He had told me that she was on hospice and her health was bad.
Okay. Is that something that, having seen her, sounded accurate to you?
She had her good and bad days.
Okay. So when he was at work, who was there at the house when he had those overnights?
Myself and Francis.
Okay. Could you sort of describe what the house, or this apartment, it was a quadplex, right? It kind of looks like a house, but there are multiple units. Is that right? Like multiple, you have neighbors who have one unit, you have a unit,
Yes.
like an apartment. Can you describe just, what the house looks like, the apartment you're in looked like?
There was 2 levels and a laundry room, and the apartments were separated by a driveway.
Okay. So what was in the downstairs level?
The kitchen, living room area, and upstairs was the bedroom area and bathroom area.
Okay, so did his mom have a bedroom there that was hers?
Yes.
And where did you stay?
I stayed with Sean in his bedroom.
In his bedroom. Okay, so there's 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
Bathroom also upstairs?
Just upstairs.
Okay. What was your relationship like with his mother?
I mean, we had our ups and downs. She had her good days and bad days. I didn't really have a good or bad relationship, somewhat neutral with her.
So during the day, you weren't hanging out with Miss
No.
Francis, is that her name?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to any neighbors?
Yes, Mahogany Pick.
Okay. And where did Mahogany live in relation to where you stayed there with Mr. Finnegan?
She lived across from us in the other apartment complex.
So if you go out your front door, they live in front of you, or if you go out your back door, they live behind you?
The front door.
Okay. So what were you doing at the time? You said he was working at the Pine House. What did you do?
I stayed at home and I was a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Okay. Had you worked anywhere before you moved in with him?
Yes, but I lost my jobs.
Could you repeat that, please?
I lost my jobs.
Was that you lost your job?
Yes.
Okay. Where had you been working?
I worked for 2 years as a CNA at Kindred in Maryville. Five Guys, I was a cashier, and then at Huddle House, I was a waitress.
And you were let go from each of those jobs?
Yes, all of them.
Okay. So if I could draw your attention back to something you said a little while ago. You talked about the first time that you got in a fight with him, or
Yes.
I think you said he shoved you.
Yes.
Could you give us some more detail about when that was, what happened?
I had asked to borrow his phone to be on Facebook, and one of my exes texted, and it led to him getting angry and shoving me in the shower.
I'm gonna check. Can we approach?
All right. If you could continue telling us about that particular event.
About
We were talking about that event where it's kind of hard to hear you. I think you said you had messaged someone on Facebook, or they had messaged you.
yes, my ex had messaged me and was texting explicit messages, and it led to him getting angry with me and shoving me in the shower, which I cut my leg and fell.
Is that the only time something like that happened?
No.
Tell us about the next time you recall.
Later, when I got out of the shower, he had told me that, he wasn't happy with me, and there was consequences to that. Like, I had to have sex with him, and he tied my hands to the bed and scratched me down my back and made me bleed.
Now, how would you consider the dynamic of your relationship? Who's in charge?
Sean.
And you had said you did something that made him unhappy.
Yes.
And that there were consequences. He told you there were
Yes.
consequences. Was that a normal part of your relationship with Sean Finnegan?
I didn't know that it would come to that extent. Like, I knew it would be kinky sex, but I didn't think it would be violent as it was.
Okay, so to rephrase that, you knew there was going to be kinky sex,
Yes.
and you were consenting to that.
Yes.
You were okay with that.
Yes.
You were engaged with him and an active participant
Yes.
in that. Is that correct? And so you said you didn't expect it to get as violent as it did.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
He was a lot more aggressive than I thought he was gonna be. I wasn't expecting it to be as harsh as it was. The punishments and just the dynamic and power role, I guess you could say.
Okay, when you say you didn't expect it to be, as harsh or as aggressive, what kind of things would he do then as punishment?
Anywhere from putting me in a dog cage and urinating on me and climaxing, defecating on me, chaining me up with a dog chain, using box cutters on me, sodomizing me, using torch lighters on me, just very violent punishments.
And I understand this is probably hard to talk about, but when you say using these things on you, what do you mean he was using them for? What was he doing?
For his sexual gratification.
Okay. So you say he used chains on you.
Yes.
How specifically were they used on you?
It was wrapped around my neck with a padlock, and he made me walk on all fours and act like a dog.
Okay. And the same thing, he put you in the dog cage?
Yes.
Okay. You said he used a box cutter? Is that what you
Yes.
said? How did he
used
use
it
that?
On my inner thighs and cut.
All right. So he would use a box cutter and cut on your inner thighs. And you also said something about a torch.
Yes.
What kind of torch?
It,
Can't do that in here. Can't do that in here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. What kind of torch?
a torch lighter.
Like a torch lighter?
Mhm.
Could you describe what that looks like? How is that different than like a cigarette lighter?
It's usually used for like lighting grills and
Okay.
other things like that.
And what would he do with that?
He made me perform oral sex on him, and he had his leg over my throat and was burning my shoulder at the time.
Okay. What was your name for him? If you referred to him as Sean, and did you refer to him as anything else?
At the time, I was his little girl, and I called him Daddy.
Okay. Did you love him?
Yes,
Do you still love him?
yes.
Were these punishments he did and the things you described as harsh or aggressive, did those continue for your whole relationship?
Yes, and they continue to get worse.
If I could draw your attention back to like the winter, like around December of 2019, do you recall anyone else coming in to the home?
Yes, Jennifer.
Could you tell us about what happened when Jennifer came in?
She came in and I was putting the bed up and I was confused because I didn't know the woman, and Sean later came in and introduced us together. she made breakfast and asked to take a shower, and once she went to go take a shower, Sean asked me, "Do you want to kidnap her?" And
How did you react to that?
I knew that I had no say-so really in the matter, that he controlled the house, and anything I said, even if it was a no, that it wouldn't have mattered anyways.
Do you know how Miss Paxton got to the house?
No. I'm assuming that he just,
Yep. Don't assume. Did she arrive the same time Sean arrived?
yes,
Okay. And this was a time he had gone to work and he came home?
yes,
Okay. So she's there, makes breakfast, takes a shower, and he's talking to you while she's in the shower. Is that right, or was it before or after she got out of the shower that he made that statement about kidnapping her?
when she was in the shower.
Okay, so what happened when she got out of the shower?
She ate breakfast and we were talking, and after she ate breakfast, he walked her over towards the back door and was showing her a baseball bat. And then he started hitting her over the head. And I went into shock, and he yelled at me to go upstairs because his mother was coming down for her medication.
So when this started, where were you? When he's talking to her about the baseball bat?
I was in front of the fireplace in the middle of the living room.
Okay. And so you said they're closest to the back door,
Yes,
right, and Miss Finnegan is getting her medicine.
yes.
Where was she?
She was upstairs, but she was in the process of coming down.
Okay. So at that point, he instructs you to intercept.
Yes.
So what do you do then?
I went upstairs and I told her to stay in the room because I didn't want her to see what was going on.
And did she do that? Do what you asked her to do at that point?
She fussed at me and went back to bed.
And what did you do?
By the time I got downstairs, they were fighting. Jennifer had the fire grate over her to protect her, and there was blood on the floor.
When you say the fire grate, you said you were saying about fireplace earlier. There's the thing in front of the fire place, or like the thing that logs would be in?
The thing that is in front of the fire.
Like the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So you say she's got that defending herself with it. Is she hitting him with it, or is she holding it over her?
She was just defending herself with it, holding it to her body and head.
Was that effective defense?
No.
So what happened is when you arrived and you see that going on, what's going on next?
I was in shock, and I approached slowly, and he told me to go into the kitchen and get the cleaning supplies.
And what did you do when you got the cleaning supplies?
He told me to clean up the blood, and he was disgrading her. He ripped her pants down and was screaming at her and said,
I need you to speak up some more, a little louder, okay? A little closer to the microphone.
he said, "Why don't you shave?" And she started crying, and he just spat on her and was really aggressive towards her.
So she's there on the ground, it sounds like at this point.
Yes.
And he's ripping that off. And you have cleaning supplies.
Yes.
What's going on at that point?
I was in shock, and he told me to clean up the blood around her, and I did so. And at one point, he told me to get on one side, and he got on the other, and both of us went up the stairs with her and walked her to his bedroom.
So are you each propping her up at this point? Or are you just like
arm.
walking her and escorting her?
Escorting her.
Okay. So she's conscious
Yes.
at this point still. So you walk up the stairs. What happens when you get up there?
He locks the door and lays her on the floor on my side of the bed, and he makes her perform oral sex on her. And I'm forced to watch.
Okay, could you repeat that? I think the court reporter was having a hard time hearing you.
He forced her to perform oral sex on him, and I was forced to watch.
And so forgive me for being very overt with this, but you say he forced her to perform oral sex. Could you tell us where his penis is?
He put his penis in her mouth and
Okay.
ripped her clothes.
And she's in the floor next to the bed.
Yes.
Where are you?
I was crouched beside him.
And how long did that continue?
Until he got angry and pulled my shirt down and made me finish.
And what do you mean by he made you finish?
He wasn't satisfied with her, and he made me perform oral on him.
So is that in the same way that you just described that he had Miss Paxton
Yes.
perform oral on him? And so he pulled your shirt down and had you do that,
Yes.
and you said he finished?
Yes.
And what happened at the conclusion?
He went downstairs to clean up the blood and told me to watch her to make sure she didn't leave the room.
Did he make any other statements
No.
about that point before going down? Okay. So he went down to clean up the blood better,
Yes.
and then comes upstairs. You're in the room with her. What's going on while he's downstairs?
I'm thinking that he was cleaning up the blood.
Are you on the bed? Are you next to the bed?
I was standing next to the bed.
So about how long was he down there, if you recall?
No more than 5 minutes.
And what happens when he comes back up?
He grabs her and chains her to the side of his bed and tells me he has to leave for work and kisses me goodbye and leaves me there with her and tells me not to leave the house, to keep her there if anything happens, to take care of it, like keep her from yelling to hurt her.
Had she yelled out?
No.
Did she have any sort of vocal reaction in that first impact with the bat, or when she has the fire screen?
Yes, she was screaming.
Okay. So he leaves for work. She's
Yes.
chained to the bed. Where are the keys to the chain?
He took them to work with him.
And so he's at work all day, and you're there,
Yes.
and she's still where?
Chained to the side of the bed.
Did you have any conversations with her in this period of time?
Yes, as I was feeding her and giving her drinks and letting her smoke, we talked a little bit.
Did you try to let her go?
At one point,
Tell us about that.
I took a knife, like a kitchen knife, and tried to pop the locks and I cut the zip ties off, and it led to Sean getting angry with me.
Okay, so he's at work and you do this.
Yes.
When he comes home from work, where is everybody? Describe that scene for us.
Frances stayed in her room while all this was going on.
Okay. So he comes back. Are you in the living room or are you in the bedroom with her when he gets home from work?
I believe I was in the bedroom at the time.
Okay. So he walks in and he sees this scene.
Yes.
Tell us about that reaction.
He was angry. He was like, why the fuck did you cut her zip ties? She could have grabbed anything and stabbed you or hurt you. She could have got free.
Was that all that happened? Is that he yelled at you about it?
Yes.
And what did he do about her being chained there?
He told me not to do it again, and he put the zip ties back on her.
Was there any punishment for you at that point for undoing any of the fastenings or chains?
I believe he made me perform oral sex.
Okay. Were there anything else that he did sexually at any point to Miss Paxton?
He forced my adult toys inside of her and forced his fingers on her and forced me to watch. And also, at one point, she was on the floor and he was behind me and he forced me to climax over her.
So, in the course of this, you are actively participating in sexual activity with Miss Paxton too. Is that correct?
I couldn't climax until he forced me to climax.
But that does mean
Yes.
that you are participating. And when you say he forced you to climax, what do you mean by that?
He physically, aggressively rubbed me until I climaxed.
Okay, so he is touching you while you're over her.
Yes.
If we have the picture of that. And what did he do at your climax?
She was revolted by it, and she said I was gonna throw up, and he slapped her across the face, and I just shut down and left.
When you say you left, where did you go?
I went downstairs.
Okay. And when you say that he used adult toys and forced them inside her, again, we do have to be specific here. We can't assume what you mean by that. Where did he force those toys?
He used vibrator on her vaginally.
Okay. Anywhere else?
Not that I remember.
So you go downstairs. Does he follow you? What happens after that?
I just cooled off for a minute, and then I came back upstairs.
Okay. And when you come back upstairs, where are Sean Finnegan and Jennifer Paxton?
We went to sleep.
Okay. And when we're talking about you going to sleep, where is she?
In the floor, beside Sean.
Chained to the bed?
Yes.
And where are you?
On the left side of Sean.
Okay. And he is in the bed?
Yes.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm asking. Are the two of you are in the bed and she is in the floor, if I'm
Yes.
understanding what you said correctly? Did you ever have a key to those padlocks?
No.
So during the day, since you don't have a key, what do you do about Ms. Paxton if she has to relieve herself or go to the bathroom?
There was a cigarette pill outside that I used for her to use the bathroom in. And she had to wear adult briefs.
Okay. So when you talk about a cigarette pill, could you sort of tell us how
It
big or small that was?
Big enough to hold like maybe a gallon.
Well, if you could, was this like a big bucket, or was this flower pot size? If you could compare it to something.
Yeah, like
Okay.
a flower pot.
Okay. Did Miss Paxton ask to leave?
Yes.
What could you do about that?
I told her that I wish I could let her leave, but I didn't have any way of letting her go, and it really upset me.
Did she ever tell Mr. Finnegan she needed to leave or wanted to leave?
Yes.
What was his reaction?
He told her that as he was killing her, that she wasn't going anywhere, that she was going to die.
So when you say he said told her, you're going to die,
Yes.
what did she do?
She started crying.
And what did he do?
He just kicked her and spat on her and was really aggressive.
Did he any time follow through on telling her she had to die?
He did this as he was strangling her.
Okay. So if you could tell us about that specifically. She's been in the house, he has gone to work, he's come back from work. What happened in, let's say, the last portion of her life? Could you walk us through what was going on?
Yes. One day he came home from work and he had bags that had shower curtains, washcloths, bleach, gloves, and things of that nature. And I thought it was for, the house, but he was carrying it upstairs, and once he carried it upstairs, I knew that he was gonna kill her. He had me go with him and shower her in the shower, and as he was strangling her, I was cleaning up the blood that was left over in the shower. And at one point he screamed at me to get in the bedroom, that I was taking too long. And I came in and he told me to lock the door. And as I walked in, he was straddled over her, strangling her with a shoestring, and told me to help him. And I just shut down and sat on the bed and just gave up, essentially.
How long did this go on?
For hours.
Could you describe for us specifically what was going on in the course, if you say this was hours?
He would start and stop, take breaks in between, and he wouldn't allow me to leave the room to empty the ashtray or anything, and I just sat on the bed.
So was he smoking?
Yes.
In between while this is going on? Were you?
Yes.
Was she allowed to smoke in the course of this?
No.
Okay. So you try to take ashtray out. No, you've got to stay in here.
Yes.
He's choking her with shoestrings, stops, cigarette break.
Yes.
However long this goes on, what finally concluded this episode?
He went to empty the ashtray, and she was taking her last breath, and I got on my hands and knees and told her goodbye because I knew she was dying. And he came back inside and slapped me across the face and left for work because they were blowing his phone up because he was really late for work.
So when she finally passed, and you said you knew she was going to, was Mr. Finnegan choking her at that point, or
He was in the bathroom emptying the ashtray.
after he had choked her?
Yes.
And so they're blowing up his phone for work.
Yes.
What happens with her body laying there on the ground?
She takes her last breath and she just dies.
Okay. So she died, and he says, I'm going to go to work?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? So what happens? He goes to work, and you're there.
Yes. From the time he left to the time he came home, I was on his side of the bed, checking her pulse, and just in a state of shock and fear.
Did she have a pulse?
No.
Did you call 911?
No.
Did you have a phone
No.
at that point? So he comes home from work after he's worked his whole shift,
Yes.
presumably. So what happens when he arrives home that night, or early the next morning?
Me and him clean up any blood and anything that's left over, and we brought her downstairs, and he put her in a freezer downstairs and blocked it from people getting in. Like, the door was faced towards the stairwell.
So is this the freezer that you had there in the kitchen?
No, this was a different freezer.
So this was a different freezer?
Yes.
When did that freezer show up at the house?
I don't know exact dates, but it was there before Jennifer died.
Long time before or short time before?
Shortly.
Okay. So it's there in the living room. You put her in.
Yes.
And he positions it so that the door is facing the wall.
Yes.
How long was it in that position?
I'm not for sure.
But did that change at some point?
Yes.
Could you tell us about that, please?
At one point, he was scared of someone going in the freezer, and we took her body out and carried the freezer upstairs, and then carried her body upstairs and put her in the closet.
So how did this freezer get power in the closet? Is there an outlet in there?
He ran an extension cord to an outlet.
Okay. So at this point, she's in the freezer. What is the state of her body? Is she wearing her clothes?
No.
What happened to her clothes?
I believe that they were in a bag, like, for tossing away.
For tossing away, is that what you
Yeah.
said? Okay. And so before she's put in the freezer, could you walk us through again the process before putting her in the freezer the first time?
When we put her in the freezer, Sean was in front of her and I was behind her. And he forced her body to go inside of the freezer, and she made a noise, like snapping noise, and blood went on me, and it freaked me out.
So was she completely naked
Yes.
at that point? Did she have anything around her or anything else done to the body?
She had a shower curtain and garbage bags.
Okay. So she's in that same sort of wrapped up state when you
Yes.
move the freezer up to the bedroom closet.
Yes.
Did you notice anything else about him doing anything to the closet door?
He changed the locks.
Did the closet previously have a doorknob that locked?
No.
And so he changed it to a different
Yes.
doorknob? Okay. So Miss Paxton is in the freezer that is in the bedroom. Did you ever notice anything else that drew your attention to this situation? Did you ever walk in and see Sean? Did you ever see Sean in the bedroom?
Yes.
Did you ever see Sean in the bedroom doing something that made you think that's unusual?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
There was one or two times that I caught him masturbating to Jennifer.
Could you describe that scene for us?
The first time I was taking a shower and I came in to put my dirty clothes in the hamper and he was masturbating and he held out his hand and I was confused as to what it was until I looked over and he had cut off her nose and intimate areas.
And what did you do when you walked in and saw that?
It freaked me out. I ran downstairs and was almost outside of the door, but he yelled at me to get back inside.
So when you walk in and see it, could you go into more detail? Where is he in relation to the freezer?
He was standing in front of it.
He's standing in front of it.
Yes.
And so is the freezer open or closed?
Open.
Could you describe, could you see inside from where you were?
Yes.
Could you describe what you observed from that point?
He had the garbage bag ripped open from her head to her cleavage.
Okay. So you ran downstairs at that point, you said?
Yes.
And he yelled at you?
Yes.
What happened after that?
After I went upstairs, he closed the door and made me perform oral sex on him because it aroused him.
Could you repeat that last part?
Because it aroused him.
Because it aroused him, is that what you said? Sorry. Do need you to speak up, sorry. In the course of your relationship with him and while this has happened and you're living in this situation, did anything change?
It just kept getting worse.
When you say it kept getting worse, what do you mean?
The power control punishments, consequences, all of that.
Did you try to tell anyone about this?
Yes,
Who did you tell?
I told Mahogany, Pia, and I told my cousin Paula and one of my exes at the time, but I didn't have any luck.
When you told one of your exes at the time, how did you go about doing that? You've already said you didn't have a phone, so what did you do?
I went to a neighbor's house and borrowed her phone to text him,
Okay.
and I said, I need help.
And did you ever hear back from that?
No,
Okay. So, how many times did you tell Mahogany about these kinds of things?
at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Could you tell us about what led up to your eventually telling people what had happened?
She was noticing the bruises on my eyes, and she knew that something wasn't right. 'Cause she kept asking me, Rebecca, what's wrong? What is he really doing to you?
Okay. So at that point, did you decide to do something?
Not at first, but later on.
So walk us through that.
One day she came over and showed me that he had been to prison for...
Stop. Walk us through your decision with Mahogany that you eventually decided to seek shelter.
Step out for about 10 minutes. I'll call you back.
All rise. Jury, follow me. Be seated.
The witness just testified that after he told her that he had been to prison, something to that effect. And obviously that's
After he told her,
he said that Sean told her that he had been to prison. And so I think is what
Sean
she
told
testified.
her, so I thought this was in relation to a conversation she was having with.
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody else told her that Sean had been to prison. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Another
So,
person.
another person. I apologize, Judge. But
So
the po-
objection hearsay,
it's an objection hearsay, but also
but you didn't make an objection.
right. But I am making an objection now because I'm moving for a mistrial based on the fact that she brought up. Whether it's a fact or not, it doesn't matter. She said that he's been to prison, and this entire case is about a power dynamic, and their whole case is about a power dynamic and who's in charge and who's in not. I can't unring that bell, and a curative instruction's not going to unring that bell. And so my position is that it's manifest necessity to stop this trial right now and start over again if we're going to do it. But right now, I can't come back from the fact that she said he's been to prison. I can't. And there's no way that you can mention it and say, well, that she didn't mean that. There's no way that you can say, I don't know how you cure it, Judge. And so I can't recover. So I think that it's manifest necessity because I cannot get an impartial verdict at this point in
I
time.
understand. State.
Your Honor, please. The state would oppose the defendant's motion. The witness's answer was not responsive to the question, and certainly we could avoid this with a little more latitude on leading when I try to get to different subjects. Nevertheless, it was intended to elicit conversations about getting the shelter and talking to someone at the shelter when she gave them that information and they had a room for her, is where we're going. So it was a non-responsive answer. It was very quick, and it was the kind that is hearsay. Somebody told me this, and we immediately pivoted to try to get back on track. So there's no other information on that other than what is, even in lay terms, hearsay. It's certainly not anything that is completely detrimental to the defense. The state has no intention of arguing that his prison history is what created this dynamic. We're talking about their BDSM and their sexual history that is creating this dynamic, and not at all his criminal record getting into that. There are a number of things, obviously, that Mr. Finnegan has in his past, and we have not proffered those or tried to do anything untoward to elicit that information. This simply isn't manifest necessity. It is an offhand statement in what is going to be hours and hours of testimony in this case in total. We do believe that the motion for the new trial should be, or mistrial should be denied. If Your Honor believes a curative instruction is appropriate, the state certainly doesn't object to that, and we would frankly move to strike her answer that was non-responsive to the state's question. On the other hand, if it is, there is the argument that it is better for the jury to just gloss over that and nobody ever mention it again, so as not to draw any attention to that. And then the state is okay with whichever way that the court wants to address this. But again, I don't believe in the context of everything that this in any way requires a mistrial.
So in y'all's proof in regard to enhancers, let's say there's a conviction or aggravators, from what I looked at, you're not introducing prior record. Is that correct, or you are introducing prior record?
Well, that of course the defense would, or the defendant would already be found guilty.
I know, I'm just asking.
And so there was a notice filed of notice of enhancement for prior convictions.
And aren't those just are they drug convictions?
There's a drug and there's a firearm charge. There's not domestic violence, for example.
Okay.
Judge, can I just follow up one more?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
She's a state witness and has been for a year. They took a plea in September last year. I have to assume that was put together before we got here because that was staged when we got here in September. We didn't know they were taking a plea till we got here. So we assumed that they had already spoken to her and they knew what they were doing before they got here. So it's a state witness that tells the story, that is the main accuser against the defendant, and their entire prosecution is based on a power struggle on what happened at those events. Credibility is everything. She just said he went to prison. I just don't know how I can come back from that, Judge.
Okay.
Well, frankly, Your Honor, if they're arguing credibility, they're arguing that's not true, whatever she said on that.
I got it. I'm good. So I'm ruling on a motion for mistrial based upon misconduct, and this would be misconduct by a witness. The trial judge must review the circumstances and must decide whether the misconduct has been prejudicial, thereby preventing a fair trial under the circumstances. And our courts have said, and it's the case of State v. Nash, 294 Southwest 3rd, 541, Tennessee, 2009. It says in determining whether to grant a mistrial, a trial court should consider following. 1, whether the state elicited the testimony or whether it was unsolicited and unresponsive. It clearly was unsolicited and unresponsive. Whether the trial court offered and or gave a curative instruction. I think I can give such a curative instruction. And the relative strength or weakness of the state's case. All I've heard is just the state's case so far. So based on what I've heard so far, it seems to be strong, but I can't balance those. So based upon that, I'm going to deny your motion for a mistrial, and I'll give a curative instruction when the jury returns. So, do y'all need another break, or y'all can I bring them in?
Okay.
Can I bring them in? Huh?
We can continue, thank you.
Judge,
Yes.
can we have 2 minutes?
Give me 2 minutes. And Ms. Dishman, I don't know how to say this any other way. You've got to talk louder. This lady can't hear you. I don't know who can hear you. Sit closer to the microphone. This doesn't work unless people hear you. Okay? So speak up, please. Okay? All right. Y'all run the restroom. I'll give you 3 minutes. Okay? Thank you.